Hello, Max here. It's like 3 a.m., but I'm not sleepy, so I'm not going to sleep yet because I just woke up. I don't know when I went to bed. Anyways, I was just thinking about spirituality and how recently I've been kind of exploring that area and realizing that there's not really a term that I felt resonated with me personally for my beliefs. So I'm just gonna make up my own religion because that way it'll definitely resonate with me. Um, and I wanted to first, before explaining what it is I believe, what this belief system I guess I'm working on is, give a little bit of background on myself. My name's Max, and I was an atheist until probably I first started, I guess, questioning my beliefs around when I was 19 in 2019 after high school. Was like the first time I'd ever seriously thought about it, I guess. And at that time, I still didn't really like believe in anything. It was more just like I was curious and found that people around me who had been really depressed after they found faith were genuinely happy and like not afraid of death. And I'm like, I want to not be afraid of death. Anyways, so that was like the main selling point for me. Anyway, with like getting into this, which I mean, that should just be like the selling point generally of religion is, hey, you want to not be cripplingly afraid of death? Like, anyways, but, but, so I had started like, I don't know, learning about different faiths and different stuff and hanging out with all different sorts of people from Mormons to Satanists to just anybody I could find, just kind of like learning about their faiths, learning about what they believe, talking to everyone, conservatives, liberals. I live in America, so there's a pretty big political divide, but just listening to everybody for a time there, and I didn't really have like what I considered a faith, I guess, until probably honestly around I guess the new year here, because that's when I came out as a trans man, and that's around the end of 2021 is when I feel like I started to have a solid sense of self as like me separate from my environment or like upbringing, because up until then I was kind of in survival mode in a lot of different ways. Like even in 2020, or 2020 and 2021, I was starting to like work and explore different stuff. But even during that time, when I got my autism diagnosis, I still didn't really have like mental independency. Like I was still completely defining myself and like judging myself through what I perceived to be what other people wanted or like what other people thought was normal, which was impossible for me to fit into. So eventually I just kind of stopped trying because it was getting to the point where I had like a heart attack at 21 and I stopped being able to mask. I stopped being able to pretend to be normal. It just got harder and harder to the point where I was having like really bad physical symptoms from how much I was like denying my own depression and despair. So anyways, I, stopped all of that and have been in a period of recovery for months now. And I'm making really good progress. I actually feel much healthier. I'm not ready to go back into work. I think that's going to undo the work I have worked so damn hard to achieve with my mental health. I'm not willing to like risk that all. Like I anyways. So that's who I am. That's some background on like why I started getting into, I guess, faith. Was I was desperate and depressed, and now that I believe in stuff, I'm not desperate, and I'm significantly less depressed. Still fairly depressed, but like I'm coming out of it. And so I guess I wanted to talk first about this umbrella term that I would fall into personally of it's called omnism, which is a belief system where the individual who is an omnist respects and believes all faiths to some extent. The reason I do think I fit into this category, but the reason I'm not like comfortable just leaving it at, oh, I'm an omnist, is I feel like this is very vague for me, and also like it doesn't resonate with my emotions personally. I don't really connect with this label, which I think, with any label, it's not the label that matters, it's how it affects you, it's how it affects us that matters, or like what it means to us on either an individual or societal or whatever level. And omnism just doesn't float my goat. So I'm making a faith called Corism, which is gonna be, for me, something that does embody pretty much what I believe personally. And I do want to say, before I go into this stuff, just that Corism is actually the name of a religion I had originally been working on for an imaginary galaxy of mine. It was a really popular belief system in this imaginary galaxy. And then when I actually stopped being an atheist, just kind of realized that's actually just what I believe now. So I'm just gonna, I don't know, maybe not so coincidental. I don't care either way. So I'm gonna start with defining what I consider to be a god. So personally, I didn't really feel like the definitions I found online connected with me personally, or what like I perceive to be a god, like what I believe that is. So the definition I'm going with is an entity that represents a concept, material existence, or perceived existence that has a significant impact on your life and is not exclusive to one occurrence or affecting only one human. So the reason I'm going with this definition is because by this one, a lot more things could be considered gods. For example, the sun could be considered a god, which, of course, for like thousands of years, humans have worshipped the sun. Like that's, none of this is exclusive to me. It's just that I'm combining it in a way that I can resonate with. But like, um, people can worship the sun or a mountain or a river or a star. Anything that like it affects you when it affects other people can be a god. And again, this is not like something this is something humans have been doing for a while. I'm not just like this is not something unique or interesting that I've made. I have not made this. This is something like other people have, but I'm just trying to like find a way to like incorporate, because I think it's important to to have a sort of like something where like anything can kind of fit into it, where it's not very like rigid and controlled, because this Corism is not about control, it's not about power. And that's kind of like honestly part of the point, is one of my problems, I guess, with like why I don't personally want to be labeled as like these different other beliefs, is because there's a lot of control and power that comes with that, and I just would prefer to not involve myself. So as far as like I guess material existences that could be represented by a god, would also be like the like concepts like love, time, humanity, anything that can be like a concept or a noun, like where it's like a thing, but it's also like a construct, that can also be a god. And I would say that like the difference here that I'm going with between like a god and just a simple spirit is a spirit, like a rock can have a spirit, or like a tree can have a spirit, but that's like one, whereas like a forest is many trees, is many spirits in one place, or like many animals in many lives. So it's like it's a collective, or like a bigger thing that can be one thing, and you can interact with that thing in a way, whatever way makes sense for you, which, you know, may for some people not be a god. It may just be going to the forest, and maybe for like a crazy insane artist like me, it might be different, and that's totally okay. um but I just thought it would be good to like kind of say that I guess the difference is like a spirit is like much smaller, much tinier, and like there's, you know, they can exist separately, whereas like a god is like all the whole thing, the bigger collective. um so I'm gonna go into Corism, which is anyways. So the beliefs of Corism are: anything can have a god if it significantly affects you. Gods are not necessarily coherent, may appear vastly differently, and communicate with people in vastly different or even contradictory ways. That's because how we feel about something as humans changes our perception of it, and changes how we perceive it, or like interact with it, or like what it means to us. So a god could tell some person one thing and look one way to them, and be completely different for someone else, because of humans and our imaginations and how things resonate with us. Gods are not good or bad, they are everything regarding the thing that they embody. So the reason I included this one is, personally, I think morality is a human construct. I don't think it necessarily applies to gods. Maybe this is all, you know, heretical, but then again, so is like probably any faith outside of whatever people want. I don't know. I'm not people. I'm just one guy. But so I would say like this is like just kind of what I believe, you know? It's not right or wrong. It's just what I believe, and I don't believe gods are good or bad. I think they're everything, all the good, all the bad that they embody. So like take the forest example. All the chaos and destruction and like harm in the forest, and all the life, light, joy, and beauty in the forest is still in the forest. Like both things are still happening in the forest. So the forest god would have both of those things. And so the next belief of Corism is that gods are not necessarily all powerful, just far more powerful than any one human or one spirit. So personally, I don't think that gods are like all powerful, or like collectively, I guess like are gonna like destroy us, or like if we don't do things exactly the right way, they're gonna hate us, or like I feel like that's just like, I'm OCD and autistic, and I don't vibe with that. Anyways, so here's some gods that personally I appreciate. And I'll talk about these, and then I'll talk about the 2 rules of Corism after this. So gods that personally I think are pretty cool is knowledge and skill as like one thing. You can also like combine gods, like one concept can be combined with another, especially if there's like duality, or if it can't really exist without another thing kind of tied, or whatever it is that like works with you. You can kind of just like separate it, or not. Also, but yeah. So knowledge and skill, creativity and mania, definitely got that. Love, chaos and control, which personally I think that control cannot exist without chaos. Chaos cannot exist without control. So I just combine those. Animals, specifically insects, especially love entomology. Life and death, technology. Yes, I do think that means there's like if technology is a god, I think there can be gods of like video games as a concept, or what else is like cars as a concept, like anything that significantly affects us. Yes, I think it can be a god because it has like an impact, either subconscious or conscious, over our lives. um Nature, water, escapism, and shifting, which I think are tied, and the god of autism. I'm autistic, so I mean, I don't know, but there probably is one. Um, because that's just, what this is. This isn't about, things being real. This isn't about things being like objective. It's about if it resonates with you. And those things resonate with me. Those concepts could be personified and perceived in a way that we can interact with, and whether it's like real or not isn't the point. It's about how it affects people, and this affects me, and I believe in it. So that's why I'm sharing it. So the only rules to Corism. So again, I do want to say that like none of these beliefs in and of themselves are unique to me. Like, this is stuff that people have been doing for a long time. It's just a fairly archaic way of looking at religion and beliefs, which doesn't make it bad. And so I would, recommend, reading other cultures, beliefs, and different things. This is just like one perspective, one explanation for what I believe in, the faith that I'm incorporating these beliefs into. So the only rules to Corism is that no one can tell, the first rule, no one can tell another person who claims they are a chorist that they aren't chorist enough, because no human can fully comprehend their own existence, therefore can't claim to understand another's experience of Corism. The reason I've included this is oftentimes I see in like religious groups people who say, oh, well, those people, we don't associate with those guys, they're just not real, whatever, insert religion. And I just feel like, no, if someone says they're this religion, then they're that religion. Whether or not they're good or bad has nothing to do with it. And so that's the first rule, is that anyone who says they're chorist can be chorist. It doesn't matter that much. It's not gonna like taint the religion. It's a religion. Second rule is that there is no right or wrong way to be chorist, because morality is a human construct. The reason I've included this one is I see a lot of times in like faiths that people say, well, you have to do it this way, or you have to follow these rules, or you're bad, or you're not good enough, or different things. And as someone who grew up feeling like I wasn't good enough for kind of polar opposite reasons, where it wasn't a religious indoctrination, but in my opinion it was a form of indoctrination, just a very different form. I don't really think that we should be using beliefs of any sort as a weapon. I don't think we should be telling people that they are right or wrong. I think we should be, focusing on people's actions and saying that these actions are right or wrong, so that we don't like shame people and like dehumanize them, hopefully, maybe someday. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, there's no right or wrong way to be chorist. Bad people can be chorist just as much as good people. Weirdos can be chorist. Anyone can be chorist. I don't care. I'm making this up, so anyways. And then the third rule: no human, including myself, can hold power in or accept money in the name of Corism in any way that directly affects other humans or is for their own personal gain. The reason I've included this one, and this doesn't apply to like if someone because like there can be someone who, like, anyone can be a chorist. So like if an atheist says they're a chorist, that's fine. If a Christian says they're a chorist, that's fine. I don't care. I'm just collecting these beliefs into one place. And like obviously probably no one's even gonna say this, because I'm like one random ass person on the internet just like at 3 a.m. talking to myself in my room. But anyways, the reason I have this like you don't accept money in the name of Corism, don't accept power in the name of Corism, is one thing I've noticed in a lot of like religions is that when power gets involved, when money gets involved, it can be uncomfortable, to put it lightly. I used to go to a Mormon church for a bit, and I personally didn't like that part. So I think that I'm just gonna say for this religion, there's no money involved, there's no power. As soon as there's like power or money, that's you can do that for like a specific god or like different gods or a collective god, just not in the name of this faith or like taking power or like speaking on behalf of these things. It gets uncomfortable, and I don't want people to be like using ideas to like hurt other humans or separate. This is meant to combine, not separate. So that's what I have for Corism so far. This is some random crazy person in their room talking about their spiritual beliefs at 3 a.m. Thank you for listening, and if this connected with you, if this is something that you feel resonates with you, you can say you're a chorist because it's a little bit more specific than omnist. um and if not, that's also fine. Like, this is just some ramblings of a person in their room. But yeah, I'm a chorist, and that's what that means to me. That's what I believe. Okay, goodbye.